Can you guys talk, and maybe we'll start, Josh, with you. Did you leverage any sort of group to, I mean, you alluded to it a little bit with the flashcard, the comments on the flashcard. So can you kind of elaborate on whether you leverage any sort of group to help you prepare?
Sure. I guess my group would be just other licensed architects here at LBBA, and then also one of my good friends who became licensed in November of last year. I kind of relied on her to, ask a lot of questions to her as well. And besides that, I kind of mainly studied on my own. I did take a few of Mike's classes as well. But as far as a support group, it was mainly at sometimes complaining about the exam and studying for it and how dry the Kaplan books are written. Yeah, I didn't really have a study group that kind of met once a week or anything like that. But that just goes for, throughout all my education, I was kind of very much the one that was on their own and didn't like groups so much. So that worked well for me, but I know for other people, study groups work spectacularly.
Yeah, I would say, Josh, that what you were just saying, I think makes a lot of sense for folks who feel really comfortable talking to people in their office. That, in general, one of the things you'll find is that other licensed architects are really mostly very excited about helping you become licensed. Yep. And so they just, they don't want to butt in, and so they're not going to say anything unless you say to them, hey, I'm studying this kind of topic, any thoughts? And I think kind of making that happen is a really smart idea.
How about you, Jennifer?
I did participate in the AIA Chicago ARE study groups. I went to the structural one and the MEP one, just because those were some areas, more areas of weakness for me, so I wanted to make sure I had a good background and foundation before going into the exams. There was also, at my old firm, internal study groups. So we would do, it was like once a week, and we would have someone in the office who was either recently passed that exam or is more specialized in that area, depending on the exam, would come in and talk.
Okay, and how about you, Charlie?
As much as I'm an advocate for study groups for a lot of the reasons that have been mentioned, I think there's a great sense of accountability that comes with just kind of sharing the process. I went full on hermit mode. Like I said, I went straight to my room every night that I got home from work. Like I said, I was studying on the bus. I was studying after work. Weekends, I'd lock myself in for at least 8 hours or so. But I think there was something to be said for the group, not so much a study group, but the kind of the public aspect of it, because again, it was not entirely by my choice, but this was kind of a public ordeal, a campaign for the AIS. So I had sort of a support group, largely on social media, and a lot of our members and other supporters who were kind of aware of the campaign. That kind of was my study group, in the same way, talking about Josh was talking about, bitching about how dry the Kaplan books are. I always felt that I had people I could talk to about it, even if it was just sort of shouting into the wind of social media. But no, as far as the actual study itself, largely because I knew how intensive a schedule I was setting for myself, I just went straight loner, locked myself in, and I was usually studying, 2 different formats at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, study groups are great. At the same time, they're not for everybody, and sometimes you find yourself doing a lot of work for other people, and they don't always make sense. But often they're really great, and so I think it's totally worth trying to find a group that meets and has some effect. But also, as Josh was saying, sometimes it's not a study group, it's just more of a support group. You
Yeah.
just kind of go and have a beer and bitch and moan about the process and, share insights and one person buys a bunch of Kaplan books and somebody else buys flashcards and you share them and, that kind of thing. Like it doesn't have to be okay, we're meeting every, Tuesday at 6 and, like it can be a much more sort of loose and sort of friendly experience as well.
So we just closed up a poll here asking folks when they usually study. It looks like it's pretty overwhelming. Everyone's studying at nights and weekends, and then a little bit, also substantially, I guess, 20% during lunch and about 20% while you're on your commute. And then before and during work is pretty small, 6 and 9%.